All right, Shaun, that red light came on. So first and foremost, what I love to do is I love to hear your 90-second pitch. Like, how do you tell people who you are and what you do?
Sure. Well, thanks, Jeff. Appreciate you having me. So I'm Shaun Jafarian, founder, CEO of CounterDrone, and we build houses for flying robots. Um, and why do flying robots need houses? Well, so drones have been able to fly themselves now for quite some time. What we do is we provide ground infrastructure to close the autonomy loop so
Hmm.
that the drones can operate without any human intervention at all. So this is important when we're deploying drones in remote areas where people are not going to be out there to place them to take off and pick them up and charge their batteries. This product allows drones to be fully autonomous from start to finish, charge themselves in their docking station, be protected from the elements. So,
Wow.
customer base is public safety, security, inspection, agriculture, mining, construction, asset tracking. List goes on and on. So
Yeah.
it's a way of making drones more useful by being fully autonomous.
So as somebody who is knows very little about maybe the drone infrastructure, it seems like there's a lot of different types. So how do you do what you do to accommodate all the different types of drones? Or is there an actual system that we all just don't know about?
Well, so we are developing truly drone agnostic docking stations. So
Okay.
our motto is if it fits, it sits. So if the drone will fit within in the OmniDock, we will integrate it to charge. And
Okay.
so, uh, and with that in mind, our intent is to beginning next year, we're going to offer a OmniDock certification program in partnership with multiple drone manufacturers so that the drones can be manufactured ready to charge inside the dock without having to have any kind of kit installed. What we do right now is we put a kit on the drones that allows them to charge inside the dock. But, most tech has a tendency to herd into one thing, right?
Yeah.
The Tesla charging network is a good
Mm-hmm.
example, I think, of now every electric vehicle can use that charging standard.
Right.
Even Apple was forced to go over to USB-C, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Uh, we're very early to this, but I do believe there's going to be a standard for charging autonomous drones, and we're leading the way in that regard.
So, from what my research is this what you describe as the clamshell dome design? Is that how I should be thinking about it? That's what I'm thinking about right now.
Yes, OmniDock is a clamshell dome. We designed it that way primarily out of weather considerations, so that it's
Okay.
very wind resistant from any direction. Snow and ice won't accumulate on it, but also it's very space efficient. So
Mm,
wherever the dock fits, it can actuate. So it doesn't get
mm,
bigger. So it fits in the back of a truck. It can open and close in the back of a truck. Unlike some of the box designs that split open, or a drawer
sure.
design. So so space was a factor in that, and also just the fact that we don't know what every drone that's going to go inside it's going to look like. So we tried to maximize volume.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. Maybe like sort of technical limitations. What are they, and how are you thinking about them? And then how are you guys starting to think about accommodating all of them?
So right now, one of the limitations is large drones, large copters. We can't fit some of the large stuff,
Mhm.
so we're making a bigger dock. Right now, we have
Okay.
two sizes: the standard and the mini, which are fine for smaller copters. But what the future holds is these larger VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing drones that are fixed wing,
Mm,
that take off vertically but fly in forward flight like a conventional airplane. We're
mm.
developing a dock for these larger VTOL drones. So that's next up on our roadmap.
Gotcha. So, what's your background? How did you start to getting to make an OmniDock? Huh? What's your background?
So I've been working in the drone space for about 12 years, but I started literally countering drones, hence
Okay.
the name Counter Drone. So
Yeah.
I was countering drones in 2013 before a lot of people knew what drones were, and so my other company, CounterDrone Consulting, provides engineering services to the U.S. military, specifically in the countering drones space.
Okay.
So after having done that for 6 or 7 years, I decided, from a business standpoint, it was a little bit of a cul-de-sac.
Mm.
Uh, all we did was try to kill drones.
Mm.
Uh, and so I decided, well, let's try to do something good and positive with drones.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so we decided we wanted to integrate drones into security systems.
Gotcha.
This was back 2020. As we went
Mm.
down this path, we realized, well, in order to do this, the drone's going to have a place to live. It
Mm.
has to have a docking station where it can sit outside, where it can recharge. If it's going to be able to respond to incidences and patrol, it's got to have a dock. No one had any
Yeah.
docks at this time.
Right.
So we started developing the dock. And as we were doing that, we realized, well, this could be useful for a lot more than just
Mm.
security. This could be used by public safety and by construction and inspection and surveying and all kinds of things. So we decided, well, let's pivot to that and let's become
Mm.
a drone infrastructure company that makes docking stations.
Yeah.
So we're among the very first. Started shipping them in 23. We've shipped about 50 of them so far. We've got just over $1 million in total sales. A lot of public safety, but some
Mm-hmm.
security, mining, agriculture. We're starting to see more in that space. You were asking about, background. So
Mm.
prior to that, prior to starting CounterDrone Consulting, I was an Air Force pilot. Prior to that, I was a U.S. Marine.
Mm.
So I guess I'm very ADD. I I like to go from one thing to another, apparently.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but and I had my first business in college, and that was an IT business. I built PCs back when there was actually a little bit of money to be made doing it.
Yeah.
Uh, about
Very
early
cool.
2000s is when I started doing that. Sold that business while I was in college. So now this new CounterDrone Incorporated is my third business.
Nice. Nice. As you were talking, I was thinking about, is there some sort of open source software that you're integrating with all of these, or is there? I guess I don't really know. Is there some sort of software that we have that component to this?
So yeah, the fact there's a lot of startups, of which we're partnered with several, that are specifically doing drone fleet management, cloud-based drone fleet management applications. Are the one that we're most closely working with right now is called Votix, VOTIX. Wouldn't necessarily call them open source, but they work with open source platforms. So
Oh,
they
okay.
provide a cloud based drone fleet management and control application, which
Hmm.
means that the dock can be placed anywhere on Earth, so long as it's got internet access, and the operators can be anywhere else.
Hmm.
So you can be controlling a docked drone on the other side of the planet, using these cloud based applications. And because we're hardware agnostic, we're also software agnostic, and we've integrated with many of these fleet management apps, and we'll be integrating with more. The drone space is so early; it's so much in
Hmm.
its infancy that we don't really know who the major players outside of DJI are going
Mm-hmm.
to be,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Right.
And so DJI has about at least 10 years of runway on everybody. They're a 20-year
Mm-hmm.
old company. And so now the rest of the world is kind of waking up to creating their own drone industries, and who's going to come out on top is to be determined. And so we're keeping our options open with respect to the software, and we integrate with with those that seem like they would be good to work with.
Does is there? But is DGI? Is that what it is? Right?
DJI.
DGI. Yeah. Are they more of a consumer facing? Because I think we had one of those drones in our production company for a while for video for just doing some video work. Or are they more? Do they have a corporate side as well?
They started as a consumer company.
Oh, okay.
I would say a decade ago they were kind of an advanced sort of toy. They were a
Mm-hmm.
nice
Yeah.
flying camera.
Right.
Now they have a major presence in the commercial drone space.
Okay. Gotcha.
Most of the public safety drone operators in the U.S. are using DJI drones.
Okay.
So,
I didn't know
but
that.
they do still offer consumer drones as well. But the writing is a kind of on the wall that it looks like there is going to be some type of ban in the United States on new DJI products.
Hmm.
Uh, there is legislation that's already passed that Could go into effect as soon as December. So we're waiting to see how that's going to flush out.
Hmm.
But there is no denying that they are excellent products.
Yeah.
They've been doing this for 20 years, and so
Sure. Sure.
they've
Yeah.
figured it out.
Yeah. What role does regulatory approvals play in your space? What does that look like?
Yeah, a mess is what it looks like because
Yeah.
it's the FAA in the United States. It's primarily the FAA. Now the FCC has a big hand in the signals part of it, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But the FAA is who controls the airspace, and the FAA has kind of struggled with coming up with how to integrate these small unmanned aircraft into the broader national airspace system.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the Wild West right now,
Mm.
and the FAA is asking for help. They're asking for inputs, and they're getting there. Things are getting better, but it is a major hurdle because
Yeah.
a lot of companies I describe as drone curious. They
Mm.
think that hey, these could be helping us. We'd like to
Mm-hmm.
use them, but we don't see a clear path.
Sure. Sure.
Um, the public safety operators have a sort of fast track that the FAA has created,
Mm.
uh, but other commercial entities have to go through a lengthy process to be able to legally operate drones in this way.
Mm. Mm. What does your company's plan look like to position itself against competition, or or other sort of docking stations that might come to the market? How do you guys see yourself positioning yourself?
Well, we really focused on collaboration first.
Mm.
I don't pay a ton of attention to the notion of competition in that regard because everything is so early. We are trying to find good partners to collaborate with because this space is complicated in such a way that everybody is dependent on everybody else, and trying to create everything all at once isn't going well for the folks that are doing that.
Mm.
So
Mm.
we're the dock people. We're not going to build drones.
Right. Right.
I've built drones, and that's why I don't build drones because I've done it. So
Mm-hmm.
I build the garage for the drone. Other folks that are smarter than us, they build the drones. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got the software people; they do that part.
Right.
We collaborate with everybody, and
Mm-hmm.
it seems to me that in an industry this early, that is the key. And of course, there's always going to be competition, but competition can also lead to collaboration.
Sure.
But to give you a big picture sense of how we view all this, drones are ultimately going to be a utility,
Yeah.
and they're going to be made available to folks who need them so that they can do good work. And so what we envision is we are the infrastructure product behind a utility service that will be available to a wide range of different customers, different agencies. So
Mm.
there's going to be strategically placed drones in docking stations that are available on a type of subscription to multiple companies and agencies where a drone first thing in the morning, it goes out and flies some pre-planned inspection of a solar farm. And
Mm-hmm.
later that day, Highway Patrol checks in, uses that same drone, that same dock to go and get eyes on an accident on the highway.
Yeah.
Later that evening, it's being used to go look for poachers or something,
Mm-hmm.
some
Mm-hmm.
other department or some other company. That's how we see the future of drones.
Yeah.
Um, and it's super early in that regard, but
Yeah.
our partners think along similar lines.
Gotcha. Yeah. So you mentioned just a minute ago subscription. How does the shift to that sort of model impact your reoccurring revenue and customer retention?
So we offer a hardware as a subscription model in partnership with several of our software partners that have their own SaaS product. We bundle our hardware with it. It's
Hmm.
essentially like a lease,
Yeah.
but the biggest benefit of it is that because the drone docking station is drone agnostic, if the end user ends up upgrading their drone fleet during the course of the subscription, we give them the new hardware to integrate that new drone into their existing dock at no additional cost. So long as
Gotcha.
the dock is under subscription, they will get all of the software and hardware upgrades they need to keep their fleet running.
Hmm.
So a lot
Interesting.
of companies don't want to buy the hardware outright, and this is an
Mm-hmm.
opportunity. At the same time, we also do direct sales.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of folks want to own the hardware, and so we're really not trying to force anyone into either side. It's too early for that,
Yeah.
and so we're offering both models.
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. Was that this, a thought pattern based on just the earliness of the industry, or just trying to keep up with new technologies that you guys would have to be always kind of updating yours to whatever the new? So like, yeah, there's always a new iPhone, right? Like, oh my God, now we got a new cable, we got a new thing, got a new thing. Like you're kind of always chasing. Is it more of it that's making some of these decisions, or just the industry as a whole is just too young and too new?
The tech refresh cycle is a big part of it, right? The fact that drones are on a similar tech refresh cycle to cell phones,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Every
That's
year,
yeah,
every
yeah,
18 months, that's a
right.
big part of it. But the other part of it is that hardware as a subscription is what we're calling it now.
Mm-hmm.
Predates software as a subscription. It used to be called leasing or renting, and it's quite popular
Yeah,
amongst industrial users, right?
right. Yeah,
Most commercial aircraft are leased.
yeah.
Farm equipment has been leased for a very long time. There are advantages to all players, and we saw that had not been attacked just yet in the drone space. Everyone has just been doing direct sales. So tech
Mm-hmm.
refresh cycle coupled with the benefits that come with a lease type model for hardware.
Right, right, right. Wow. Yeah, yeah. Just getting me thinking about, man, how you're fitting into some of these different industries. It is really crazy. Like, where do you see maybe the next 5 years going? Actually, what's the next 2 years look like in your world? You know what I mean? Who knows where we are in 5 years? But what's like the next 2 years that you guys feel like, okay, we know that these are some of our next moves, some of our next milestones. What does that look like?
Yeah, I think that we're going to start to see a standardization when it comes to some type of charging standard for dock drones. And as I mentioned, we're going to spearhead that with a
Mm-hmm.
certification program. We're going to see a major acceleration in the use of commercial drones
Mm-hmm.
as well as public safety drones. We're already starting to see that. The regulations are getting sorted out as they always do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there's going to be a shakeup with respect to DJI. There's just
Mm-hmm.
that's clear at this point. How that gets flushed out, only time will tell. Um, I have concerns about it, but I
Mm-hmm.
also see some potential benefits. I mean, personally, I don't like to see an artificially created market in that way of limiting competition through bans. I'm not in favor of it. At the same time, we stand to benefit from it.
Right.
At the same time, the entire ecosystem stands to potentially be hurt by it when the major player that holds 75% of the market is cut out of one significant part of that market.
Mm-hmm.
That's concerning. I'm not sure how it's going to flush out, but time will tell. And hopefully, it'll lead to more collaboration within the U.S. drone space, because that's really what is needed right now
Yeah.
is collaboration. You got a couple of players that have tons of VC money backing them that are all trying to be the Apple of drones, and
Mm-hmm.
we're not there yet.
Yeah.
And so it'd be nice to see some collaboration between more of the startups to really get the talent together to build a real U.S. drone industry.
Yeah. What does go into the building of the OmniDock? What does it look like? Like how long is your cycle around this, and what did like those first prototypes look like, and what was that journey like to get to where you are now?
Yeah, that it's been challenging to build a physical hardware product that had never existed before for something that a lot of people didn't even understand was needed.
Yeah.
Uh, and so, yeah, our first prototypes we actually made out of fiberglass by hand, and quickly realized that was never going to scale. It was extremely time consuming and not particularly good for your health. And so we ended up taking those first prototypes and turning them into molds that would ultimately get used in a thermoforming process. And so now we have a more mass producible model uh, that is made out of a thermoformed ABS and acrylic. And the our partner that does that forming for us is right down the street from us, and we own our own tooling, and And so we've managed to get to a place where we can produce them fairly quickly, and brought our costs down tremendously. So they're assembled in West Jordan, Utah. They're modular in nature, and so they have these subsystems in them, like for charging, for climate
Mm-hmm.
control. The drone needs to be kept temperate for the sake of the batteries and charging.
Mm-hmm.
So we made these systems all modular in nature because if something's unavailable, we have to replace it with something that is. And so we're
Yeah.
not married to any one particular piece of hardware. We do a lot of our own manufacturing with additive manufacturing in house, but our electronics, with the tariffs, we've had to resource a lot of things, and we've found a lot of
Mm-hmm.
U.S. sources. But it just reinforced this modular approach to assembly, uh,
Mm-hmm.
where we're not completely dependent on any one supplier because of the nature of our design, and
Sure.
that early on. But right now we're producing about one a week. In 6 months from now, our intent is to be doing 3 to 4 a week. Uh,
Mm.
and we're getting signals from the market that demand is going to be there and will likely exceed that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you mentioned you know, earlier on, but what are some of these markets that you see popping up? I know a lot, public safety you mentioned a couple of times, but are there other little markets that you think you can see some growth coming out of that maybe we're not thinking about right now?
Security is accelerating really fast,
Mm.
which again was our original intent for this product. Now 5 years later, that's the majority of our demos lately
Mm.
is security integrators that want to use drones to secure various sites, to
Mm.
augment
Mm.
manned security, because the drones can do autonomous patrols on their own. They can also be programmed such that they respond to some triggering event. I'd say next, just down from there, is inspection and surveying, things like solar farm inspection, power line inspection,
Mm. Mm.
um, asset tracking on construction sites and mines,
Yeah.
large industrial areas, ports. Asset tracking at ports is another area we've seen interest in. We've also seen some agriculture use cases. We have a dock deployed in Australia that's doing multispectral crop yield analysis. And so I think we're going to see more in that area as well. And drones are definitely starting to take a foothold in agriculture in the form of spraying.
Mm.
Uh, and that's not something that we currently help with, but we have brainstormed what would a dock look like that would also refill a
Oh,
spraying drone.
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, yeah. Is there a training system that would have to go along with this, or like the drone user, I guess in these study, these verticals you're talking about, like, do you guys have to train somebody in this, or is it fairly self-explanatory, or is it fairly hands-off? Like, what does that look like?
As far as the dock itself goes, it's
Yeah.
fairly hands off. But
Okay.
using autonomous drones, um, there's always some level of autonomy, right? Like for these drone as a first responder users, police departments, fire departments, it's a sort of hybrid. It's somewhat autonomous, but they also have direct control as
Mm-hmm.
needed, and that does require training. And
Yeah.
our friends at Vodix offer that as part of their subscription to their product, is they provide that training. But the dock itself is meant to be pretty hands off.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. So it seems like you don't have to have a ongoing training person that's on site with the fire department or whatever it is, the first responders, like, hey, make sure you put them all in this way and they got to go. It doesn't seem like that's what you have to
There's
do.
some very basic stuff that's really just handled with some pictures, and
Yeah.
then there's very little maintenance. It's just a couple of filters get changed once or twice a year, depending on how dusty it is. But otherwise, the dock is meant to be behind the scenes. If the dock is doing its job, people don't really think about it.
Right. Yeah.
It's not the sexy part, right? It's the
Right. Yeah.
infrastructure.
Yeah. Yeah.
The drones themselves are more complicated and
Mhm.
harder to produce and harder to
Sure.
operate.
Yeah. Yeah. So where are you in the fundraising journey right now? I mean, I found you through a Start Engine campaign that was closed. So you went down the crowdfunding route, but just where in general are you, like, on that journey of raising capital for this idea?
So we bootstrapped from the very beginning up through the release of the first OmniDocks, and then we did do a crowdfunding round on Start Engine that started late last year. Ran that for a few months. We raised about 310,000 on that, which was really an experiment. You know,
Yeah.
I was just trying to explore different options. At that time, I didn't really want to go the VC route. So I thought, well, let's try this power to the people type approach, which was fine. But to be perfectly honest, it really just ended up as an exercise in ad spend.
Mm-hmm.
And I've read some of your newsletters about that, and you might have been able to help us 6 months ago had we got it back then.
Yeah.
But this time around, we are looking at raising a more traditional type round. We've talked to some angel groups, we've talked to some VCs. I guess we are formally raising, whatever that means, right? Like a lot of founders are coy about that, like, oh, I'm not really raising unless you're giving money away.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
we're
everybody's
raising.
always raising. You're always raising capital, right? It never ends. Yeah.
That's the bottom line. Yes.
Yeah.
So we're raising. Not sure exactly, how that's going to flush out just yet, but we're revenue positive, and so we're not desperate for cash. We want to raise money to accelerate our R&D, get the new larger dock out in the field, build up some stock for our hardware as a service model. So that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What does that plan look like? I mean, I know you would like to get to about 100 units, I think, right? Is what you're hoping for by, right? How many units are actually out in the field right now?
we've got 50. We've got 50 deployed now. We would like to exceed 100 in late Q1 of 26. Seems
Okay. Yeah.
reasonable on the path we're on.
Mm-hmm.
And so we do need to be able to accelerate how quickly we produce them, but we also need to get more serious about marketing and sales. We are a team of engineers, and we are in the stage of founder-led sales. I'm the sales guy.
Right.
I don't think that's ideal.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
I prefer to be doing the designing and building stuff, and I think I'm more founder than CEO, if you will.
Sure.
So
Yeah. Totally.
we accept that the reality is that marketing and sales are a big part of this, and so that'll be a significant chunk of where our raise goes.
Yeah. Yeah. And just, kind of when you start to stand back, I mean, what is your thoughts and feelings of just, the temperature right now in raising and just kind of where you guys fit? It feels like, from my vantage point, all the energy is like, yeah, I agree with you. Drones are going to be just constantly popping up in conversations, or we're going to start to see them used in things that we didn't expect to see them. Like, oh, they're right. They're at my son's playing football. There's drones over the football fields all the time doing, and I was like, holy God, they're just seeing more and more. So where do you just ultimately feel like, man, I think we're going to see an explosion, or it's going to be a little bit different? Just what's your personal opinion on the industry right now?
Very optimistic, which was not the case a few years ago. Now, the broader, the macro picture for fundraising today is not nearly as bad as it was, say, a year ago.
Yeah.
But a year ago, drones were not particularly popular in the space at all. Drones are hot right now in fundraising, especially if you can attach AI to something. Of course, there's that. Yeah. But at the same time, hardware is starting to get another look. Yeah. So and that wasn't so much the case a couple of years ago. So I think we're well positioned as a hardware company and in the drone space. I'm optimistic. And I think the timing is about right. I wasn't ready to do a formal raise a couple of years ago, and I don't think we would have been successful had we tried. But the signals that we're seeing now look positive.
That's cool. Well, where should people dive into your world? Where should we send people if they want to connect, reach out? Like where should we send people?
Well, so anyone that's interested in learning more about the OmniDock should visit us at CounterDrone.com. And fill out our contact us form. We're pretty quick to respond there, just with any general questions about the product. But that's also the place to hit us up for any interest in investing as well.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. And for anybody listening, I'll put that in the show notes. So you guys make sure you guys have the website and stuff. So Shaun, I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I've been following your company and behind the scenes here for a while now. I was super excited to get on this call and just dive in a little, learn a little bit more. It is a really fascinating industry. I'm also, as an investor myself, just kind of watching and seeing what's going on. So this was a great conversation, and I appreciate you taking time out of your day and telling us all about what you're working on.
Well, thanks, Jeff. I appreciate the opportunity.
Awesome. Thanks.